Hello there, people of the internet. I have some 22 long rifle here and my 22 long rifle revolver. This is a Heritage Rough Rider. You guys have seen this stuff on the channel plenty of times. This 22 long rifle, this is just cheap bulk surplus stuff, kind of a mix. This little jar that I have here, every time I have just like a handful of rounds, I just kind of toss them in there, and it's turned into a little sprinkle setup over the years. But these are basically all 40 grain projectiles, and from a full-length 22 long rifle barrel, it's going to travel at about 1,200 feet per second. That's not a whole lot of weight, and that's not a whole lot of velocity, that's not a whole lot of power. If memory serves, I think it's got like 155 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, but I could be wrong about that. I'm just going off memory. So, this right here, despite the fact that it's not all that powerful, and it's not all that, well, I don't want to say it's not all that capable, but compared to other cartridges that are out there on the market, it is not all that capable. That being said, that does not mean that it cannot still get things done. There's a reason why 22 long rifle is as popular as it is. First off, it is really small. Like, look at how many rounds of 22 long rifle I have in this little jar right here. My estimation, somewhere around like 500 rounds. This is almost full, and it says 500 rounds right there. So even though this is a mix of all sorts of stuff, my betting point would be 500 rounds. This right here is a blank, and I'm betting that right there will not actually hit any targets. So, first off, popularity, it's small, it's lightweight, it's easy to carry around. That's one of the big benefits of 22 long rifle. If I had this pack of 500 rounds of 22 long rifle, I could put that in my backpack, no problem. Versus, actually, I've got this right here. This is a box of 500 rounds of 223. And as you can see, the size is significantly different. So the 223 is definitely a more powerful cartridge, but 22 long rifle is significantly more compact. Not only that, but 22 long rifle is effective enough for the things that most people are looking to do. 22 long rifle, typically, like, you see people plinking with it out to about 100 yards, and they sustain accuracy well enough to be able to hit like a man-sized or deer-sized target at that 100 yards. So, most people aren't really touching out beyond those distances. So, if you are touching out beyond 100 yards, then you're definitely beyond the norm. This argument may not apply to you. But 22 long rifle, it's accurate enough to be able to hit things that are adequate size out at adequate enough distances. If there's one thing I've learned just from being alive, it's that mankind will pick the cheapest, easiest to use, most abundantly available tool or option to achieve whatever job it is that they're looking to achieve, whether or not it is easy to achieve that job with that item. I know plenty of people that have taken out plenty of deer with 22 long rifle, and 22 long rifle is absolutely enough to take out a vast variety of all sorts of different small game. Within that 100-yard mark, you definitely lose a lot of energy and a lot of capability with that 22 long rifle, but you can definitely still make hits on target, and if you hit the right spot, even though it's not all that powerful, it will still put whatever it is you're firing at in the dirt. So, you can carry a lot of ammo, and it's all over the place. Like 22 long rifle, even in places that don't really allow civilian firearm ownership. A lot of times they will allow you to own a firearm chambered in 22 long rifle so you can still enjoy the firearm sport hobby. So it's massively available. It is good enough to get the job done at the distances that most people would be needing to get a job done. It's accurate enough. It's not exactly a sniper round, but it's accurate enough to be able to make effective hits on target at things that are large enough for you to make hits on target. Now, don't expect to like bring out a 22 unless we're talking something really high-end. Don't expect to bring out a 22 long rifle and get like sub-MOA accuracy out of the stuff. Typically, my 22 long rifles, I got a couple of them, and I've had a couple of them over the years, and even with like really nice 22 long rifle, you tend to get like between 3 to 5 MOA groups, and even that is like doable for 22 long rifle and for achieving whatever it is that you're wanting to achieve. Especially if you manage to get into closer distances, those groups will definitely tighten up quite a bit. The overwhelming popularity and the lack of cost are probably the two biggest factors of 22 long rifle. A lot of people will argue size, and a lot of people will argue, you know, like a lack of noise, because these right here just don't shoot very powerfully. They're not very fast. They don't have a lot of retort behind them. Like they'll give me these other reasons why 22 long rifle is a good idea, but there are other cartridges out there that have the same sort of benefits that 22 long rifle has to offer. Like, for example, if you want yourself a nice quiet round, 45 ACP from a carbine length barrel is overwhelmingly quiet for the amount of power that you're getting downrange. It's typically a 230 grain bullet traveling at subsonic speeds around 850 or so feet per second. That's a lot of mass, and it's still traveling at pretty significant velocities, so you're not going to break the sound barrier, and you're not going to have to worry about a loud bullet crack. By the time that bullet exits the barrel, the gunpowder is already burned off, and the pressure is actually starting to drop. Anyone who's ever fired a 45 ACP carbine knows how quiet they can be. So if you want more power, but also still want to maintain that quiet nature without adding like a can to the end of your gun, then maybe a 45 ACP might be a better option than 22 long rifle. However, 22 long rifle is smaller and lighter weight, more compact. Well, if we look at something more along the lines of like 25 ACP, that is smaller, lighter weight, more compact. 25 ACP is even reloadable. There's not a whole lot of options out there for 25 ACP, especially in terms of long gun capabilities, and that is where the popularity of 22 long rifle comes in. 25 ACP is also more expensive, and that's where the cost of 22 long rifle comes in. The overwhelming popularity of 22 long rifle comes from availability and cost. All the other factors that other people make claims of, there are other cartridges out there that do the same thing on a better note. Like, for example, 25 ACP with its actually being smaller than 22 long rifle and capability of reloading. It's less available, less platforms, more costly, etc., etc. That's why people lean towards 22 long rifle. It's also going to be more reliable because 22 long rifle has a rimfire system on it versus the centerfire system of 25 ACP. For people that want quiet, 45 ACP from a carbine barrel, that is nice and quiet. Granted, it's going to be more heavy, so there's pros and cons for a lot of different things. 22 long rifle is just one of those cartridges that is a good middle ground for all sorts of stuff, but I feel like even with all of the benefits of the cartridge, if it was not as available and cheap as it is right now, then it would just not be a cartridge that a whole lot of people go to. Another big benefit of the cartridge is the dramatic amount of different firearms that are chambered in this cartridge, and a lot of that has to do with, like I said, popularity of the cartridge. If the cartridge was not as popular, then there just would not be as many firearms chambered in it. Like, for example, 25 ACP. That is very similar to 22 long rifle in a lot of different ways. However, there's just not a lot of platforms out there available in it, simply because it's just not that popular of a cartridge. So 22 long rifle, it's got, oh, I don't know, if you can think of a firearm, like any genre of firearm, AR, AK, Mosin Nagant, insert your choice of bolt action rifle here, semi-auto handgun, revolver, etc., etc. They probably have a version of that firearm chambered in 22 long rifle. The beautiful thing about 22 long rifle is since it burns at dramatically low pressures in comparison to other cartridges, the firearms can be made very, very cheaply, and so they can be sold for very, very cheaply. Like, for example, these revolvers I have here, you can pick one of those up for like $100 to $150, depending on where you get it, depending on everything that goes into it, etc., etc. You can get one of these for not a whole lot of money. Actually, I'm looking into getting myself a 22 long rifle, actual like full-length rifle, for under $100. It's just not a whole lot of money to be able to manufacture those, especially with modern manufacturing techniques. So, tons of firearms availability, tons of ammunition out there, and ammunition availability, and it's not very costly to be able to get a setup like this. If I were to go out and get myself something like this right here, like that's, I don't know, let's call it like 30 bucks for a box of 500 rounds. Way more expensive than it used to be, but still definitely well within the ballpark. And then 100 bucks for a revolver. So that's like less than 150 bucks for a firing gun. Definitely a really, really good option. But the availability and price point are the only two real good things 22 long rifle has going for it, because all the other the other things that people talk about with 22 long rifle, be it a small size, be it quiet, be it effective at whatever ranges it is that they need, be it insert your choice of pro 22 long rifle argument here, there's a cartridge out there that can do that particular job better. Anyway, folks, I think I've made my point on the subject. I think I've said my 2 cents. And I'm starting to ramble at this point, so I'm just going to do the outro. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next episode.
Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.